Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is John McGevna, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm a member of this congregation and a volunteer worship associate. Today I am joined by our guest worship leader, FUS member and retired Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Lori Laban, and the worship team of Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes. Thank you to all the volunteers today. Our greeters are Ann Smiley, Elizabeth Barrett, and our ushers are Tom Dumage, Marty Hollis, and Patrick Ducharme. And coffee is being made by Gene Hills, Jim Wilson, and Sue Wilson. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you are visiting today, welcome. We are so very glad you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian Society, please stop by the welcome table located in the Commons area. We hope you will be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service. It's also in the Commons. For those of us connecting virtually today, we are glad you are with us as well, and we hope you will be able to take a moment and watch the announcement slides after today's service to learn about upcoming programs and activities. And now I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into the time as we join together once again in community.
Remember now all those whose lives have been taken by wars they did not start. Honor those who felt a call to serve something greater, a call to protect and to free.
Honor here poets and mourners who carry in their hearts an absence that pulses, an ache that once felt never truly goes away.
Sing out with gratitude and with grief for life longing for a better way. Plant trees strong and tall. Let the branches breathe even to graves far from home.
We feel the earth holding us, bearing witness to stories too hard to speak, memories held in bodies while ancestors whisper, "No more, never again, remember me."
In this place, we honor all of the wounds and the scars, spirits broken and seeking wholeness. Let this be a house of reunion, calling all our pieces home.
In us, veterans in a forest of 1,000 fallen promises, let new leaves of protest grow on our stumps. Stir up a new courage to listen, and not turn away.
And with our bare hands and our full hearts, with all our intelligence, let us create together a lasting peace. Come, let us worship together. And now would you rise in all the ways that we do and join me in the words for lighting our chalice. Each time this flame is lit, may it remind us of the lifelong work to nurture our questioning minds and nourish our seeking hearts, to help heal historic injustices and transform the world through liberating love. And I now invite you to turn to those around you and greet one another with signs of love and peace.
Welcome today, Laura. Thank you.
Good morning. Let's sing together our opening hymn as we carry this flame forward. As we carry this flame forward, we hold true to what we know. As we carry this flame forward, we leave space for us to grow. This flame represents a place where all our valued all belong. With this flame we speak to power. With this flame we join in song. As we carry this flame forward, hand in hand we heed the call to do justice, kindness, mercy, equity, and peace for all. This flame represents a people found in every faith and creed. People who commit to serving all their neighbors and their needs. As we carry this flame forward, it goes with us as a light. As we carry this flame toward a new world, our future's bright. This flame represents a promise, one we make with the divine. A new world we are creating, we can make tomorrow shine.
Now, do we have any young or once young folks who want to come forward and sit on the carpet this morning? John and I have a story. Hi. It's okay, just outside the carpet is fine. Do any of you know somebody else, somebody who speaks a different language, or do you speak a different language other than English? Have you ever heard someone speak a language other than English? Yeah? Yeah. And you wondered what they were saying? You knew what they were saying. Okay. Well, our story today is called Chester Nez and the Unbreakable Code, a Navajo code talker's story. And we're going to learn about how when a language that's very difficult became very important. When Batoli was 8 years old, the time came for him to go to boarding school. He had to leave his family, his home, and the goats and sheep he loved and took care of. He climbed into the back of the missionary's truck. "You need an English name," the missionary said. Batoli's name was Navajo, like he was. "You will be Chester," the man said. Chester. At Fort Defiance School, the matrons shaved off Chester's long hair and gave him a blue uniform to wear. They made him use English, a language he'd never spoken. And when Chester spoke Navajo, the matrons washed out his mouth with yellow soap. Blech, blech. "Navajo is bad, speak only English," they said. Many years earlier, in the 1860s, the U.S. Army had held Navajos captive at Fort Defiance. From there, the Army forced the Navajos to go on the Long Walk, a journey of 300 miles into what is now New Mexico. Many people suffered and died. Fort Defiance became a school, was now a boarding school for Navajo children, but some of the youngest students had bad dreams because of the fort's history. Chester did his best to calm their fears at night. He reminded them they were not alone. They still had families back home. Over the summer, Chester returned home, where he could again speak the sacred language the holy people had given the Navajos long ago. When he cared for the sheep and the goats and prayed using corn pollen, he felt like a real Navajo again, living the right way. His heart was strong again, and being home took away the loneliness that Chester felt at school. Chester returned to school, where he was again told his Navajo language was worthless. "You must use only English to survive in the white man's world," the matron said. This was in 1932. Chester knew he might need to live in the white man's world one day. In that world, speaking English was essential, so he worked hard and did well. Chester enjoyed learning and wanted to prove his worth. He also learned to pray the Catholic way and served as an altar boy. The Catholic way was good, but so was the Navajo way. Though he spoke English in school, Chester kept his love for his Navajo people and their language. He decided to never break the ties that bound him to them. December 1941, month of the crusted snow. Chester was in 10th grade when the school principal called the students together. "The Japanese Empire attacked us at Pearl Harbor," he said. "We are at war." The United States had fought the Navajos years ago, but now the United States was their country too. Chester thought about how his ancestors stood up against enemies. He should act with the same courage. Protecting his homeland was an honor. "I am a warrior," Chester said to himself. "I will fight for this land." April 1942, month of Big Plant. Recruiters from the U.S. Marine Corps came to the reservation. "We need Navajo men who speak English and Navajo," they said. See, the U.S. military needed a new way to send its secret messages. The messages were sent in code over the radio, but since anyone's radio could receive those messages, the enemy could hear them too. The Japanese had broken every American code. The Marines tried using a coding machine called the shackle to create an unbroken code, but the machine took too long to decode and encode messages. Then a former Army soldier, a missionary's son who had once lived on the Navajo reservation, knew that Navajo was a language almost impossible for non-Navajo to speak. So the Marines agreed to try it. Many Navajos volunteered to join the Marines, but only 29 were chosen, including Chester. They became Platoon 382. Suddenly, the language he had been told to forget was important. Chester was proud he had never given up speaking Navajo. June 1942, month of big planting. After basic training, Platoon 382 went to Camp Elliott near San Diego. An officer took the platoon into a room. "Create an unbreakable code," he told them. "Start by choosing one word for every letter of the English alphabet." Then the officer left, leaving the 29 men in that room. Chester wondered how they would begin. Then one of the men, Gene Crawford, spoke up. He knew how military codes worked. "Make every word clear and different from every other," he said to the others. So they used English words for each letter of the alphabet. A was ant, B was bear, C was cat, and then they chose Navajo words for each of those English words. Ant was wolachi, bear was shush, cat was mausi. Mausi kind of sounds like that what the cat says, doesn't it? By the end of the first day, they had the whole alphabet. A few weeks later, 3 more Navajo men joined the team. Now 32 soldiers were creating the code and learning to use it. Instead of spelling out some things in the English alphabet, they chose Navajo words to represent them. Battleship became Lotso, which means whale. Bombs were ayeshi, or eggs. There was a lot to remember, but Chester enjoyed what they were doing and had an excellent memory. September 1942, month of half. After 13 weeks, Platoon 382 demonstrated their code to Marine officials. Expert code breakers could not break it. The code was strong. The code was efficient, too. The shackle code machine took 4 hours to encrypt and decrypt a message that Navajos could send and receive in less than 3 minutes. The Navajo language solved the Marines' communication problems. The military ordered the platoon to keep the code a secret. Only commanders and officers knew about the Navajo code. 2 men stayed behind to teach new Navajo recruits, while Chester and the rest of the code talkers shipped out to the Pacific. The time had come to use the code for real. When their boat reached the island of Guadalcanal, Chester and his partner Roy Begay waded ashore. They dug a foxhole in the sand, and then they were ready. When a runner handed them their first message, they radioed it to 2 code talkers on the ship. I can't say all of these words because I don't know how they're pronounced. Bena Ali Tzotzi, Achna Azdoni Ato, Nishna Jigo Da Dikad, Al Dil Tahi. Any idea what that means? It meant, enemy machine gun nest on your right flank, destroy. Minutes after their message was received, artillery fire hit the machine gun nest. Chester shouted, "You see that?" Their Navajo code was working. Chester and the other code talkers sent messages on Guadalcanal for many months until the Japanese were defeated. Then they were sent to other islands in the Pacific. The soldiers saw terrible things in combat. They dodged artillery fire, and they witnessed explosions, and they even watched some people die. Chester was worn out and sick, but he kept working. Every day he prayed in Navajo, using corn pollen from his medicine bag. The Navajo way gave him strength and helped him survive until he could go home. January 1945. Chester was finally home, but he'd seen too much. He felt at times as if he were dead. Chester could not tell anyone, not even his family, about the Navajo code. It was still a secret. Keeping that secret brought back the loneliness that hurt so much when he first went to school. Chester's family knew he needed help. They arranged an enemy way, a 4-day-long ceremony to help someone exposed to the evils of war. The ceremony restored Chester to the trail of beauty and the right way, and he no longer dreamed of the war. September 1945. 8 months after Chester came home, the Japanese surrendered and the war was over. The Navajo code had been vital to the war effort. Code talkers had served with every Marine unit. By the end of the war, more than 400 Navajos had served as code talkers. They had been told in school that their language was no good, but they had proven that wasn't true. The Navajo code helped win World War II. Like his people who survived the long walk, Chester had never forgotten his Navajo heritage. It should be on the last page. Despite being told to give up his Navajo language and culture, he found ways to merge them with the white man's world. His spirit stayed unbroken. He kept his feet on the trail of beauty. And now our story is over, and you can return to your families, your seats, or go on to summer fun activities down the hall. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for reading.
Well, thank you.
would now like to call up Renee Uhardi to offer her testimonial as a teacher in our children's religious exploitation program. Exploration. Sorry.
Hi, good morning, and I'll also make a slight correction. My name is Renee Uhardi, but many people say Renee. It's okay. Hopefully, something of my remarks this morning will expand your interest or tweak it to become a teacher at FUS Religious Exploration, RE program. It used to be called Religious Education. One Sunday morning, well, let me back up. First, I was church shopping in 2004 when I was leaving the faith community that just no longer worked for me. So one morning I shopped at FUS, and I never shopped after that. That Sunday morning, similar today, there was a plea for RE teachers. After coming to service a few more weeks, I decided that teaching was something I could do. I had already been given so much from this community that I felt I need to give something back. I had never taught children before, so I decided I'll offer to teach the 3- and 4-year-olds. After all, what I knew about Unitarian Universalism, you could probably put in, it was such a small amount, but I thought, I have to know more than 3- and 4-year-olds, right? Made sense to me. And also, little kids I knew were very fun. My own children were long grown and old at that time, but I had nieces, great nieces and nephews, and I thought, what's not fun about 3- and 4-year-olds? Teaching continues to bring me joy, and I have taught a class every year since then. The easy part of teaching I'm going to make 3 points, because it is fairly easy. 1, the leadership and support of Karen is wonderful, as it was in prior years with Leslie. Also, there are 4 teachers for each class, so you only teach every other week. The time commitment, hence, is not very large. Prep is minimal. You read the lesson beforehand, and you give it a little thought. Then you arrive in class about 15 minutes or so before the lesson starts, before the children are released and they show up. You spend those 15 minutes prepping the room a little bit and talking with your co-teacher about how is that lesson going to work that morning. The lesson curriculum, you're given a curriculum every Sunday, which is very detailed and specific. However, the fun part is you don't have to follow it. You follow it as you wish. You and your co-teacher decide, what are you really going to do versus what you said you should do. And there is an awesome supply room for teachers that is so well stocked, and you go there and browse and decide, well, I want to try using this, or maybe we'll use that. You're free to do that. The children arrive, you teach the lesson, you learn with them, and then the children help clean up before there's a closing ritual, as there was an opening ritual. Those are kind of the structured, truly sacredly held parts of the curriculum that you just get into this routine so the children know what's going on and you follow it every week. Then you leave the class. You bid them goodbye. You chat a little with your teacher. How did it go? Co-teacher. And then you're on your merry way. And walking out of there, I always feel that I have done something good. This is good work. And I've been blessed with participating in children's lives. How awesome is that? So if you're at all interested, or it's possible for you to consider teaching in the class next fall, I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
We'll remain seated for our next hymn. I'll sing the first verse myself in Hebrew, and then invite you to sing what's on the screen or in the gray hymnal number 146. בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור זיפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישקקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunderclouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Our inspiration today comes from Unitarian Julia Ward Howe. John and I will read from the Battle Hymn of the Republic and the Mother's Peace Day Proclamation. I'll have verses from the Battle Hymn, and John will have sections from the Peace Day Proclamation. Now, these are both kind of lengthy, so they've been blended to make one antiphonal reading. Antiphonal just means we're both reading. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on.
Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have questions answered by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn, all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of our another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs.
I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero born of woman crush the serpent with his heel, since God is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on.
From the bosom of a devastated earth, a voice goes up with our horn, our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left at home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on.
In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women, without limit of nationality, may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient, and the earliest period consistent with its objectives, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interest of peace.
In the novel Pretty Birds, Irena is a teenage girl in Sarajevo during the siege. Remember that, 1990s? Tedic is recruiting Irena to become a sniper, shooting back at the people who are trying to starve out the non-Serbian occupants of the city. I'm kind of a pacifist, Irena says. So am I, responds Tedic, when the world permits. Scott Simon, who hosts the weekend edition Saturday mornings on National Public Radio, wrote Pretty Birds after covering the siege of Sarajevo and encountering real-life Irenas and Tedics. The Pretty Birds quote captures a deep ambivalence about war, which I can relate to. Like Irena, I would say I'm kind of a pacifist, but I understand Tedic. Our readings from Unitarian Julia Ward Howe reflect the same ambivalence. The Battle Hymn was written in 1862 when Julia and her spouse were active in abolitionist causes and working with the Sanitary Commission and other union agencies during the Civil War. The words were meant to be explicitly patriotic and theological, proclaiming that God's justice would prevail with the end of slavery and the preservation of the Union. The Battle Hymn was one of the most popular songs of the war. The Peace Proclamation was written in 1870 after Ward had observed the full horrors of war. The United States was still struggling to recover, and the Franco-Prussian War was raging in Europe. Howe turned her energies then to pacifism and women's suffrage, decrying the barbarism of war and working for peaceful resolution of conflicts until her death in 1910. Now, we Unitarians and Universalists and Unitarian Universalists have always held patriotism and pacifism in tension. The Reverend John Haynes Holmes nearly lost his New York pulpit when, during World War I, he preached against war and violence. During the Vietnam conflict, more Unitarian Universalist churches turned toward a pro-peace stand, and a statement of conscience on peacemaking was passed at the 2010 Unitarian Universalist General Assembly in Minneapolis. In my home church in the early 2000s, we lit a candle each week in memory of all who lost their lives in war and violence. Now, I know people who have made the military their career. Some of them I knew in seminary who have gone on to serve as military chaplains. Two of them were instrumental, while still in seminary, in the creation of UU Military Ministries. How many of you actually knew there was a UU Military Ministries? A couple people. And they offered Unitarian Universalist Sunday services at the Great Lakes Naval Base. I don't know if that's still ongoing, but I do know my colleagues felt strongly about the importance of providing access to a liberal religious service to those undergoing basic training. I also know that at times they were frustrated over being viewed by other Unitarian Universalists as somehow betraying our faith by ministering in a military setting. I've also known two Unitarian Universalists who registered as conscientious objectors, one during the Korean War and one during Vietnam. And there are people who have enlisted in the military for a variety of other reasons in my own family. Like many people of his generation, my father, Virgil Gorgas, was a war veteran. He and two of his brothers, Warren and Bill, enlisted in the Army and served in Europe during World War II. Dad drove tanks. He wasn't a general, he was ground troops, participating in and witnessing destruction that most of us can only guess at. And Warren never made it home from World War II. For decades, I was told that our family didn't know where Uncle Warren died or where he was buried, but we now know that his grave, or memorial marker at least, is in Luxembourg. Now, my dad never talked about his war experiences. He kept those memories in his own heart and his own mind. I think he was protecting us. When my nephew returned from Operation Desert Storm, that was the first Gulf War, he and my dad talked about tanks and war, because my nephew had also driven tanks. Now, my dad felt it was his duty to go to war when he did. It wasn't anything he thought about deeply. He viewed it as his patriotic duty as an American citizen. Without a draft, people enlist now in the military for many reasons. Many enlist for benefits and opportunities, as my nephew did when he graduated from high school. Others enlist out of a sense of duty or patriotism. And patriotism is, for me, holding on to the high ideals we set for ourselves as a nation. Ideals like equity, equality, human dignity, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and a voice and a vote in our government. Those are high ideals. But let's pause for a moment, because remember what I said about ambivalence? Our country itself is founded on a paradox. In rebelling against the British Empire for our own freedom, a new form of empire, including Western expansion and the subjugation of the indigenous people in this country, was born. Religion professor, social critic, and author Cornel West noted that it is a painful truth that in order for American democracy to succeed, others were required to lose their freedom. And yet, we continue to believe in what West calls the deep democratic tradition. Our old religious forebear Ralph Waldo Emerson often spoke of our democratic goals. He believed, as West does, that democracy requires courage of every citizen. Courage to be an individual. Courage to question what is and ask what should be. Question what is and ask what should be. For me, patriotic holidays like Memorial Day, tomorrow, are a good time to consider what patriotism means and how we live out our democratic ideals. And by the way, Memorial Day is set aside to honor our war dead, not all veterans. That's Veterans Day. My colleague, Lieutenant Colonel Reverend George Tiger, is a military chaplain who served 2 tours in Afghanistan. And Skinner House Books published a selection of the weekly reflections that he sent to all of the different troops, companies that he was overseeing. It's titled War Zone Faith. In one reflection from Afghanistan, he wrote, "Death, whether in combat or in the normal course of life, will touch us all. When it does, we must try to figure out where it all fits in our living. I do not personally believe in a deity that has cosmic purpose. I believe that finding meaning and discovering purpose in the stuff of living is the purview of living, breathing human beings. We in the military have dedicated our lives to many high ideals. Freedom, honor, loyalty, and duty define the American way of life. We place ourselves in harm's way to defend these ideals so that those at home can sleep safe each night. When we lose friends, an emptiness remains which even the highest ideals cannot fill. The cost of those ideals is the struggle to find meaning in these losses." Now, I know that Tiger's reflections were a powerful way to minister to the troops who were placing themselves in harm's way every day. Far from offering a chest-thumping war is good perspective, they were and are serious reflections on finding meaning in the real lived experience of troops in a war zone. Now, the holiday that we celebrate this weekend began as Decoration Day, a day to place flowers on the graves of Union soldiers in Arlington Cemetery on May 30th, 1868. Decoration Day was designated as an official holiday for honoring all war dead in 1918, with the name changing to Memorial Day in 1967. And the next year, the observance was moved from May 30th to the last Monday in May. Now, while most of us will be, many of us anyway, will be enjoying family picnics and parades or simply a quiet day home, Memorial Day is also an invitation to remember our dead from the past, present, and ongoing wars and make what meaning we can of their sacrifices. This year, as we as a country once again engage in war, let us meditate on the high ideals our country was founded upon, the ideals which we, generation after generation, ask our young people to defend with their lives. As Archibald MacLeish wrote, "The young dead soldiers say, 'We leave you our deaths. Give them their meaning. We were young. We have died. Remember us.' So may it be."
I invite you into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering which sustains and strengthens our partner church program. Our partner church program connects us with the village of Negata in Romania and the historic Unitarian congregation, which is the heart of that community. We have been partnered with the Unitarian Church in Negata for 33 years. Through our gifts, we will be able to continue supporting scholarships for high school students in the village, as there is no high school in the village and students must attend the boarding school for their area. Room and board can be prohibitive for many of them in the village, and so our financial support is a great relief to families in Negata. Your gifts will also help us support the congregation's music program, as well as the educational field trips for the children of the parish. There are multiple ways to share your gifts. You can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, or you will see on the screen our text-to-give information. And now baskets will be passed here in the auditorium for gifts of cash or check. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
Each week, we gather together, bringing with us the joys and losses of our days. We share these here knowing they are held in love and care and support. Sue Wilson asks us to light a candle of joy and gratitude for the beauty of the peace poles on the FUS lawn. She sends her thanks for all who participated, and a special thank you to Roz Woodward and Karen Polnitz for their leadership. May peace prevail on earth. And we light one more candle for all that lives in our hearts, the joy and the celebrations and the sorrows and loss. May we know we are held in love. You will join me now in a moment of meditation and contemplation with these words from Kara Fortner. Dear humans, the ones with senses that witness and hearts that break, the ones with brokenness and bruises, seen and unseen, know you are blessed just by being. Dear humans, who struggle through changing tides and crashing waves, the ones who dig deep and hold on tight, and the ones who run up the beach to the safety of the dunes, know you are precious and that you have choices. You who let joy kindle your souls even when outside forces would wish to blow out the flame, know you are lovely and wonderful. You who study, research, express, and innovate, who question and test and experiment, know you are needed and valued in your curiosity. Dear humans, the ones who commune with the trees and animals, who admire the caterpillar on the milkweed and marvel at the spider in her web, know you are beautiful in your connectedness. You who struggle, you who love, who yearn for more and better and more loving, who suffer, who resist, who play and delight in the important things, keep your precious ways which bring more loving into the world. Cherish your innovations and your choices. And dear humans, know that you are blessed just by being. May we rest in the silence for a moment together. Amen.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Now I invite us all to once again rise in body and or in spirit, so we can sing together our closing hymn, which is number 159 if you're using a gray hymnal, or on the screen, This Is My Song. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace, fair for their land and for mine.
May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we all move. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude. Done anyway. Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to work with you.